Imagine you just spent your last $5,000 on a system that promised to make you rich while you sleep, only to wake up and find your bank account completely empty. This is the chilling reality hidden behind the ultimate modern trick. The image of a laptop on a sunny beach quietly making money for its owner is sold to millions of tired workers every single day. But this promise of easy wealth without effort is not a clear path to freedom. It is a carefully built trap designed to pull you in and take what little you have left. The scene is always exactly the same. A glowing screen on white sand, a cold drink, and a bold claim that you can break free from your boss forever. It looks perfect, peaceful, and entirely safe. Yet if you look closer at this digital picture, the truth is cold and empty. The people selling this dream are not resting on a beach at all. They are working day and night to sell you a fantasy, leaving you alone in the dark when the money fails to show up. That glowing screen on the sand is nothing but bait to catch a tired mind, and once you take it, the real machine goes to work. The trap is set with deep care and perfect timing. It starts with a flashy video popping up on your phone right after a long, hard shift at your job. The voice on the screen speaks directly to your pain, telling you that working for a paycheck is a fool's game. They promise a secret system where money flows in on its own, completely hiding the heavy chains of labor required to even start. Step by step, you are led down a dark hall of false hopes. You are told to buy a course, join a club, or pay for a starting kit that will unlock the magic of passive income. The creators of these traps use simple words to hide complex risks. They never show you the late nights, the sudden failures, or the constant begging for customers. They only show you the fake gold at the end of a very broken rainbow. Then comes the chilling moment the truth finally hits. A father who poured his last savings into an online store sits in a quiet room, staring at a screen showing 0 sales. The money he saved for years is gone in a matter of weeks. The passive stream he was promised is completely dry, leaving him with nothing but a heavy chest and a deep sense of shame. It is a quiet kind of heartbreak that ruins lives behind closed doors. People who just wanted to spend more time with their kids find themselves working twice as hard for no pay at all. They trusted the smiling faces on their screens, only to watch their hard-earned safety nets burn away. The deep sadness of losing everything to a lie leaves a dark mark that never fully heals. With their savings turned to dust, the victims are left to wonder how they were fooled so easily. But the answer lies in the deep weariness we all carry every day. We are all perfect targets because we are all so deeply tired. The daily grind of waking up early, sitting in traffic, and giving our best hours to a boss wears down our defenses. When a person is completely drained, the idea of resting while money grows on its own feels like a warm blanket in a freezing room. Our own minds betray us, making us want to believe the lie because the truth of working forever is just too hard to face. The planners of this deception know exactly how heavy your bones feel at the end of the day. They study the fear of growing old without enough money to survive. They map out the exact points where your hope meets your deep exhaustion. By aiming at your desperate need for a break, they turn your own natural desire for rest into a weapon against your wallet. By using our deep exhaustion against us, the sellers of easy wealth hide the most important piece of the puzzle, erasing the one thing that makes money real. That missing piece is a single vital word that has been wiped clean from the record. That word is effort. In the dark world of easy money, hard work is treated like a dirty secret that must never be spoken aloud. The planners of this myth carefully scrubbed away any mention of the blood, sweat, and tears needed to build real wealth. When effort is erased, the whole story becomes a dangerous lie. The victims are left feeling crazy, wondering why they are failing when the system is supposed to be so easy. They do not know that the game was rigged from the very start. The missing truth of hard work leaves a trail of broken dreams, as good people blame themselves for a system designed to keep them in the dark. Because the truth of effort was hidden, the trap slams shut on those who try to build these streams of income, and the harsh reality of the daily grind quickly takes over. Every single day, grueling labor is secretly given a shiny new name and sold as passive. Building a digital business means fighting a never-ending war of writing emails, fixing broken web pages, and answering angry messages. It is a harsh, active job that demands your attention at all hours. Yet a fake label is slapped on the box, tricking you into thinking the machine will run itself while you look away. There is nothing quiet or restful about keeping a business alive. The moment you step away, the whole thing starts to fall apart. You are forced to constantly feed the beast with new ideas, new products, and endless hours of staring at a screen. The secret mechanics of this work are hidden from view, leaving you trapped in a second job that pays less than the one you were trying to escape. This dark truth is most clear in the oldest dream of them all, the promise of the rental property. It starts with a beautiful, unsettling picture. You hold a heavy set of keys in your hand, believing your only job now is to wait for rent checks to roll in on the first of the month. You feel a sense of pride, thinking you have finally crossed the line into true wealth and freedom. But those keys quickly turn into chains. The dream of resting while someone else pays your loan is shattered by the harsh reality of broken lives and broken homes. Instead of peace, you find yourself staring at your phone in pure dread, waiting for the next disaster to strike. The quiet joy of owning a home is swallowed by the terrifying realization that you are now responsible for every leak, every crack, and every unpaid bill. The dream of simply holding the keys to a newly purchased rental house quickly shatters against the harsh, daily reality of physical property ownership. Investors sign their closing documents expecting a steady stream of passive checks, only to discover they have just purchased an incredibly demanding, highly unpredictable small business that operates 24 hours a day. Behind the promise of effortless rent checks lies a grueling, hidden second job that financial influencers rarely disclose. You do not simply buy a duplex and wait for the direct deposits to roll in. You instantly become a property manager, an unlicensed contractor, and a hostile debt collector all at once. Every single month requires constant, exhausting administrative effort just to keep the fragile housing system from completely falling apart. The daily administrative grind is relentless and deeply draining for independent landlords. You spend weeks sifting through forged income statements and fabricated credit reports, hunting for reliable tenants. Then come the endless weekend trips to fix jammed deadbolts, patch leaky asphalt roofs, and paint over heavily scuffed drywall. When the first of the month finally arrives, you are forced to chase down missing payments from occupants who actively dodge your phone calls. The quiet despair of this endless physical labor slowly drains away any feeling of financial freedom the amateur investor once possessed. Instead of spending their weekends relaxing on a beach, they log 40 extra hours a month managing petty tenant disputes, coordinating emergency landscaping services, and balancing complex accounting ledgers just to break even on their mortgage. The true nightmare of the real estate business often begins in the dead of night, far away from any spreadsheet. The phone rings at 3 in the morning, jarring the property owner awake with a sudden, sinking feeling of absolute dread. On the other end of the line is a panicked, screaming voice shouting over the deafening sound of rushing water. A pressurized copper pipe has burst inside the second-floor wall, and freezing water is rapidly flooding the living room ceiling. In that single, chaotic moment, the illusion of hands-off wealth is completely destroyed. The owner must rush into the cold night, authorize a $500 emergency dispatch fee to a commercial plumber, and spend weeks mitigating the terrible structural damage. One midnight plumbing disaster can instantly wipe out an entire year of carefully saved profit margins. A single $8,000 water mitigation bill utterly destroys the fragile $200 monthly cash flow the investor worked so hard to build, plunging the entire rental property deep into the red for the foreseeable future. But broken copper pipes are nothing compared to the severe financial tragedy of a hostile renter. Imagine the deep, creeping stress of knowing someone is living inside your property, consuming your municipal water and municipal heat, but refusing to pay a single dime. They ignore your certified legal notices, change the exterior locks, and claim the physical space as their own, while your operating account slowly drains. The nightmare deepens as the occupants begin to actively destroy the home, punching holes in the drywall and tearing up the hardwood floors out of pure spite. The housing court system moves at a painful crawl, forcing the owner to wait 6 to 9 months for a county judge to finally step in. The crushing weight of $10,000 in legal bills and a ruined interior leaves the investor broken, far worse off than when they first purchased the deed. Fleeing the physical traps and catastrophic liabilities of traditional residential real estate, millions of hopeful people turned their eyes to a new, invisible frontier. Throughout the early 2020s, a massive financial migration occurred as weary investors abandoned physical rental properties to seek their fortunes in the supposedly frictionless world of online digital commerce. A new grand illusion emerged in the form of the digital product gold rush. The marketing pitch was incredibly tempting and promised a life of total geographical freedom. Online business experts swore that if you just wrote one simple electronic book or recorded one online masterclass, you could sell that exact same digital file millions of times forever with a 99% profit margin. It sounded like the perfect escape from hard manual labor, but the hidden technical rules of this digital dream were specifically designed to trap the unwary. The secret was that manufacturing the product was only the first, tiny step in a massive marketing machine. To actually generate revenue, the creator had to build a complex web of automated sales pages, targeted email lists, and third-party payment gateways that constantly broke down. The chilling, vast unknown of the internet currently hides a massive, silent graveyard of unsold digital dreams. Ordinary people poured hundreds of hours of their brief lives into writing 50,000-word manuscripts and filming high-definition instructional videos in their quiet suburban bedrooms. They put their whole hearts into formatting and sharing what they knew, firmly believing a global audience was waiting to buy it. Then they finally push the button to launch their digital storefront, and they are met with a crushing, absolute silence. The server analytics show that no one visits the landing page, no one clicks the promotional link, and not a single credit card transaction comes through. The deep heartbreak of realizing that all those months of lonely, unpaid work were for absolutely nothing leaves a lasting psychological scar. This vast digital wasteland is heavily littered with millions of abandoned domain names, expired hosting accounts, and forgotten instructional videos that no human being will ever actually watch. The servers quietly store petabytes of failed passive income projects, serving as a monument to the false promises of effortless online wealth. The hidden monster controlling whether a digital product lives or dies is the proprietary search algorithm. This invisible, ruthless mathematical system decides exactly who gets to see your work and who gets permanently buried in the dark corners of the web. The code does not care how comprehensive your online class is or how much exhaustive research you put into your electronic book. The search algorithm demands constant daily feeding to keep your product visible to consumers. If you stop posting new promotional videos, stop writing daily social media messages, or stop paying for expensive pay-per-click advertisements, the system instantly cuts off your web traffic. The exact moment you step away to enjoy your supposed geographical freedom, your daily sales drop to zero, proving the revenue stream was never truly passive. The digital creator ultimately becomes a weary, anxious prisoner to the marketing machine. Instead of enjoying passive wealth, they are forced to work every single day, desperately analyzing engagement metrics and filming new promotional content just to keep their rapidly decaying digital product alive in a saturated market. The dream of easy money often ends in a sudden, silent crash that destroys months of grueling labor in an instant. A person checks their phone in the morning expecting to see a steady stream of sales from their digital products on platforms like Amazon or Etsy. Instead, they find a chilling zero on their dashboard. The money has simply stopped flowing, vanishing overnight without a single warning or explanation. This sudden death of income happens because a hidden computer program changed its mind without human oversight. The invisible, proprietary rules that control who sees a product online shifted in the dark during a routine algorithm update. In an instant, the steady cash flow is entirely cut off, leaving the creator completely helpless and effectively erased from the digital marketplace. The quiet blue glow of a laptop screen turns into a harsh reminder of how fragile this digital wealth truly is. A dashboard that once promised financial independence now displays a 90% drop in traffic, transforming a supposedly automated empire into a worthless digital graveyard that demands immediate, frantic intervention just to survive. This constant, lingering fear of losing everything drives a brutal, unseen grind that contradicts the entire premise of the industry. People are sold a highly curated picture of total freedom, lounging on sunny beaches in Bali while their phones ring with automated cash. But the reality behind the camera lens is a desperate, exhausting race against algorithmic burnout. Those who claim to live this perfect laptop lifestyle are often trapped in their own homes, working grueling 80-hour weeks just to maintain their metrics. They must constantly create new videos, analyze retention data, answer endless messages, and fight relentlessly to stay visible. The promise of doing nothing turns into a psychological prison of working all the time just to keep the lucrative illusion alive for their followers. Every single day becomes a forced, panicked march to feed the very system they initially thought would set them free. Missing just one upload schedule or failing to engage with a comment section can trigger automated penalties that destroy months of hard-won momentum, forcing the creator to remain perpetually chained to their glowing screens. When the digital dream fails and the burnout sets in, many exhausted workers turn to a third major trap, known as dividend stocks. The story told here by financial influencers is incredibly simple and deeply tempting. You buy small pieces of a large, famous company like Coca-Cola, and in return, they mail you a share of their corporate profits forever. Experts aggressively sell this as the purest, most reliable form of passive income in the world. You do not have to work a second job, you do not have to build a risky business, and you do not have to manage angry customers. You just put your hard-earned money into a brokerage account, sit back, and watch the quarterly checks arrive in your mailbox. But a cold, hard wall of mathematical reality stands between normal people and this heavily marketed dream. A regular worker saves $5,000 over a grueling year, sacrificing their own comfort and skipping vacations to buy these golden tickets. They wait anxiously for the promised wealth to finally compound and change their daily life. The crushing truth arrives in the form of a quarterly statement showing a payout of just a few pennies on the dollar. They realize that their life savings, yielding a standard 3%, have earned them barely enough to buy a single cup of coffee each month. The deep, lingering sense of betrayal sets in as they clearly see the massive gap between the financial promise and the stark reality. The heavy, unavoidable weight of the math crushes the hope of anyone starting from the bottom of the economic ladder. The reality dictates that small amounts of capital generate microscopic, useless returns, effectively trapping low-income investors in a rigid system that demands massive upfront wealth just to generate the equivalent of a minimum wage paycheck. The dividend system is not a helpful ladder for the poor to climb, but a reinforced steel vault designed to protect the already wealthy. It operates on a very simple, exclusionary rule that the financial experts often hide from their audiences. The system only pays a sustainable living wage to those who already possess a massive pile of cash. To earn enough money to quit your job and pay your monthly rent, you do not need a few $1,000s saved up. You need over $1 million invested in the market before the 4% payouts become a real sustainable income. For the average worker living paycheck to paycheck and battling inflation, this financial mountain is mathematically impossible to climb. The money only flows in meaningful, life-changing amounts to those who no longer need it to survive. The cruel irony of the financial system is that substantial dividend payouts are exclusively reserved for institutional investors and ultra-high net worth individuals who already possess enough capital to live comfortably for multiple lifetimes without ever checking a stock ticker. This brings up a dark, lingering question about the standard financial advice we are all forced to swallow. We are taught from a young age to worship the mathematical magic of compound interest, believing it will eventually save us from poverty. Yet, it is a cruel, dismissive joke to preach the power of multiplying money to working-class people who have absolutely no surplus money to multiply. It is exactly like telling a drowning person that if they simply tread water and wait 40 years, the ocean will eventually turn into solid ground. The theoretical promise of future wealth means absolutely nothing when you cannot afford basic groceries or rent today. The agonizing pain of waiting decades for pennies to grow leaves desperate families trapped in a cycle of endless daily struggle. The so-called magic of time is completely useless when you are fighting just to survive the current week. Time in the market is a luxury commodity purchased with surplus cash, a resource completely unavailable to the millions of workers who are forced to liquidate their meager portfolios at the very first sign of a medical emergency. The spotlight must then turn to the people who heavily profit from selling these beautiful lies. The so-called experts who sell the expensive map to easy wealth hide a chilling secret behind their bright, rehearsed smiles. When you look closely at their financial records, you realize they did not get rich by using the passive methods they teach, but by selling the illusion of those methods to you. The real shock comes when investigators look behind the curtain at the people selling these financial dreams. You find the very person offering you a map to easy riches is working 80 hours a week just to sell you that map. Federal Trade Commission records reveal their wealth does not come from the secret e-commerce system they claim to use, but comes directly from the pockets of their own students. The closely guarded secret of these gurus was never about building a quiet life of financial freedom on a tropical beach. Instead, it was always about trapping thousands of desperate followers in a very loud, highly profitable lie designed to extract maximum capital before the illusion inevitably collapses. This hidden operation works exactly like a famous event from history. Think back to the California gold rush of 1849, when 300,000 people left everything behind to dig for a fortune in the dirt. Historical records show most of those hopeful miners found nothing but broken dreams, rampant disease, and completely empty pockets. The only merchants who truly got rich back then were the ones selling the pickaxes and shovels at exorbitant markups. Today, the internet is the new gold rush, and these online experts are just selling digital shovels in the form of PDF guides. Their highly active, exhausting job is simply convincing you that gold is waiting just under the surface, as long as you buy their special tools. To make you buy those digital tools, they have to create a perfect, flawless psychological trap. They flash a life of pure luxury to pull you in, showing off bright red Ferraris, diamond watches, and huge sunlit mansions in the Hollywood Hills. But the chilling truth uncovered by countless fraud investigations is that almost none of it is real. Those gleaming private jets are rented by the hour for $200 just to snap a few quick pictures on the tarmac. The massive homes are nothing more than daily photo sets, booked on short-term rental websites for a single afternoon to trick your eyes. It is a completely fake life, carefully staged by production crews to make you feel like you are missing out on an easy fortune. Every shiny picture posted to their massive social media feeds is just another piece of bait on a very sharp hook. The luxurious facade is a calculated psychological mechanism designed to bypass your critical thinking and trigger an emotional desire for a glamorous life that does not actually exist. The grim reality is that your stolen hopes pay directly for their next shiny advertisement. When a hopeful beginner spends their last $900 on a secret masterclass, that money goes straight into a massive corporate marketing machine. It does not buy the student any financial freedom. It just buys the guru more targeted advertising reach. Every single dollar lost by a victim fuels an aggressive, never-ending algorithm campaign to find the exact next target. The self-proclaimed expert needs a constant stream of thousands of new people to trick because their own business model would instantly crash without your hard-earned cash. You are not learning a sustainable system, you are simply funding theirs. The money flows in only one direction, moving swiftly from working-class families to offshore merchant accounts, leaving a devastating trail of empty bank accounts in its wake. This predatory financial cycle ensures the grand illusion survives, while the actual participants are left completely bankrupt, desperate, and wondering what went wrong. But the trap goes even deeper, hiding a heavy and silent financial burden that quietly ruins ordinary lives across the country. To even start building one of these magical real estate or crypto income streams, you must first hand over tens of thousands of dollars in real, tangible investment capital just to secure your spot. Consumer protection agencies see terrifying cases of people draining their entire 401k retirement savings just to play the game. Some even take out massive, crushing personal loans at 20% interest, betting their family's entire future on a promise that was mathematically false from the start. The massive upfront cost is a heavy iron anchor that drags them down before they even set sail. That crushing high-interest debt quickly becomes a dark, suffocating cloud that hangs over every single part of their daily life. The relentless stress of massive monthly payments shatters marriages, destroys mental health, and turns the initial dream of total freedom into a waking, inescapable nightmare of constant financial panic. Even if you do not lose all your money to a scam, you are being quietly robbed of something much worse. There is a chilling economic rule known as the time value of money, which dictates that your limited time is the most expensive asset you own. While you chase a fake digital dream, you are bleeding that precious asset completely dry. You might spend 5 long years working late into the night, trying to build an automated drop shipping system that runs by itself. But those are 5 grueling years you could have spent earning a real, steady corporate paycheck, building a legitimate career, or simply being present with your growing children. The years you lose to the trap are years you can never, ever get back. The invisible clock keeps ticking, quietly stealing the best, most productive years of your life while you wait for a massive payday that never actually comes. The true cost of this passive income illusion is measured not just in lost dollars, but in thousands of irreplaceable hours sacrificed to a phantom goal. We can see the truth of this relentless struggle in our own daily lives, right in our own backyards. Think about how hard it is just to keep a simple commuter car running smoothly past 100,000 miles, or how much constant physical work it takes to keep a small vegetable garden from dying. Everything in the physical world breaks down, fades away, or gets covered in weeds if you turn your back on it for even a single minute. Now connect that simple truth of entropy to the wild internet promises of easy money. It is a chilling absurdity to believe that a complex logistics business or a massive 30-unit rental property will somehow survive all on its own without intervention. If a tiny patch of dirt needs daily care just to grow a single flower, a real commercial business will demand your constant sweat, capital, and tears just to keep the doors open. In the dark corners of real commercial enterprise, the word sustainable holds a very different meaning than the gurus suggest. It is not a magical machine that runs forever on its own momentum. True sustainability requires filing quarterly taxes, managing complex supply chains, and navigating strict federal regulations that demand constant, active supervision from the owner. A truly sustainable income stream is a hungry beast that demands constant feeding through daily operational oversight. It requires you to fix broken application programming interfaces, defend your digital ground against aggressive competitors, and watch the shadows of market analytics every single day. The machinery of commerce never rests, and neither can the person managing it. Because this beast must be fed, the business owner is forever tied to the exact type of grueling work they tried to escape. The promised freedom of passive revenue quickly turns into a heavy chain of endless daily tasks. Managing offshore virtual assistants, auditing advertising expenditures, and resolving furious customer complaints easily consume 14 hours a day. Walking away from this beast brings a terrifying unknown that can destroy years of hard work in a matter of days. The moment you set up an automated business and forget it, a chilling algorithmic decay instantly begins. Search engines and retail platforms demand fresh content, immediately penalizing dormant accounts by burying them beneath active competitors. Without a watchful eye, the foundational architecture of the business rots in complete silence. The dark mystery of what is falling apart behind closed server doors keeps honest workers awake at night, knowing their hard-earned money is slowly turning to dust. A sudden drop from page 1 to page 2 in search results can instantly erase 90% of their daily revenue. That silent decay does not just ruin the business over a long period of time. It suddenly forces the creator into a desperate race against unseen enemies, probing for vulnerabilities. Automated bots constantly scrape original content to spin into cheap knockoffs, while malicious actors search for outdated software plugins to hijack the entire digital storefront. One of those unseen enemies is the slow, agonizing bleed of hidden operational costs that quietly drain the profit margins. It starts with a small fee for a mandatory software update or a sudden change in international tax rules. Soon, the infrastructure required just to keep the website functional begins to cost more than the product brings in. Soon, the business owner is slowly drowning in a sea of unexpected bills for broken marketing tools and forced platform upgrades. The money that was supposed to flow freely into their pockets is instead drained away by 1,000 tiny cuts. Monthly subscriptions for email hosting, payment gateways, and customer relationship management software collectively devour the remaining capital. As those tiny cuts drain the bank account, the victim realizes the digital ecosystem was designed to take their wealth, not build it. They are trapped paying for a machine that barely keeps itself alive. The internet service providers and hosting platforms are the only entities generating truly passive income, extracting rent at every possible transaction point. Even if the daily financial leaks are successfully plugged, a much more violent threat waits just outside the fragile digital walls. The open global market is a wild, unpredictable storm that can strike without a single warning. Supply chain blockages in foreign ports or sudden spikes in raw material costs can render a profitable niche entirely obsolete overnight. A sudden change in local commerce laws or a rapid crash in consumer pricing can instantly destroy what took years of meticulous planning to build. The world outside does not care about your passive income dreams, and it will wash them away in a heartbeat. A single algorithm update from a major tech giant can wipe out a once profitable revenue stream before breakfast. When the storm of the market finally hits, the fragile feeling of financial safety shatters into a million pieces. The creator is left staring at the digital ruins of their life savings, wondering how everything vanished so fast. Thousands of dollars invested in overseas inventory and targeted advertising evaporate into the ether, leaving nothing behind but maxed out credit cards. Then comes a shocking turning point in this grim commercial story. The creator wakes up one morning, logs into their analytics dashboard, and finds that the heavy competition has quietly arrived in the night. A highly optimized, heavily funded corporate rival has hijacked the primary search keywords and is aggressively siphoning away every last drop of organic traffic. It is a chilling realization to look at a massive monitor screen and see your exact flagship product copied perfectly down to the packaging. It is now priced lower and sold by a giant manufacturing company that can easily crush you into the dirt. They utilize aggressive loss leader pricing and massive marketing budgets to dominate the niche entirely. Because the giant manufacturing company steals the consumer spotlight, the original independent creator is violently pushed into the dark. They must now fight a brutal financial war just to keep their tiny slice of the retail pie. This desperation forces them to double their advertising spend, shrinking their profit margins to absolute zero as the cost per click skyrockets. This forces them into a bitter legal fight over intellectual property, which is just a fancy term for legally owning your secret ideas. Stopping thieves from stealing your digital products becomes a full-time, exhausting job. The creator must issue endless digital copyright takedown notices and watch helplessly as counterfeiters simply respawn under new corporate names the very next day. The creator must hire expensive lawyers, send angry cease and desist letters, and spend their days hunting down cheap fakes across the internet. The so-called passive business becomes a dark, endless courtroom battle that drains their mind and their wallet. Paying hundreds of dollars an hour to intellectual property attorneys bleeds the small business dry, while the counterfeiters ignore every warning. Trying to fight these corporate giants reveals the heavy burden of growing the business, exposing a cold rule where only the biggest and best-funded players survive. The small creator is left crushed under the weight of trying to make their tiny, failing illusion look like a massive empire. Passive income is exposed as a myth reserved for massive conglomerates, leaving the individual investor with nothing but a failed venture. The cold truth of the market is that only the biggest players survive a harsh rule known as economies of scale. A lone person trying to grow their small passive income stream soon faces a crushing exhaustion. They wake up one day and realize they are fighting giant companies with endless money. Those giants can make things cheaper, faster, and louder than any single person ever could. The dream of sitting back and collecting money turns into a brutal, losing battle against massive rivals. The heavy weight of scaling that broken dream leaves victims feeling utterly trapped in a game they can never win. In the shadows of this defeat, Gurus offer a new, dangerous trap wrapped in shiny advice. They tell their followers to build multiple streams of income to stay safe. They claim that if one stream dries up, the others will keep the money flowing. But this popular idea hides a fatal flaw that leads straight to ruin. It forces a person to split their time, their money, and their energy into tiny, weak pieces. Building just one real source of money takes intense focus and years of hard work. When someone tries to build 5 different streams at the exact same time, they guarantee that every single one will fail. They give 20% of their effort to a blog, 20% to a rental, and 20% to an online store. None of these projects get the deep care they need to survive the harsh market. Step by step, the lack of focus starves all 5 streams until they die completely. The landscape of their digital life becomes a graveyard of half-finished projects and dry income streams. It is a dark mystery why so many smart people fall into this trap of divided attention. They are driven by a deep, unsettling fear of losing everything, so they scatter their seeds far and wide. They hope that spreading their bets will bring them safety from the storms of the economy. Instead, this scattered focus only invites the very ruin they were trying so hard to escape. The chilling reality is a human mind stretched far too thin across too many different worlds. A person jumping from real estate to stocks to online sales loses sight of the fine details. They become blind to the fatal flaws growing quietly in each of their projects. When the warning signs flash, their exhausted brains simply cannot see the danger coming. This dangerous thinning of their focus sets the stage for a sudden total collapse. Then comes the terrifying moment when the whole house of cards finally falls apart. Because all the streams are weak and built on bad foundations, they do not fail one by one. They fail all at the exact same time when the market shifts even a little bit. The safety net they thought they built turns out to be made of thin air. The victim is forced to watch in pure horror as their entire life's work burns to the ground. Their rental property sits empty and losing value, while their online course suddenly stops selling completely. At that exact same moment, the stock market takes a dive, wiping out their dividend shares. The multiple streams of income become multiple streams of crushing debt in the blink of an eye. The sudden crash of that fragile system leaves behind nothing but panic and shattered trust. To understand this disaster, we must strip away the final lies told by the wealth gurus. We must look at the cold, hard truth hidden at the bottom of the money pile. There is actually no such thing as truly passive income anywhere in the world. Money does not just grow on its own without someone somewhere putting in the sweat. What people call passive is really just highly leveraged active income. It is the result of a massive, intense amount of hard work done up front, packed tightly into a system. Every successful stream requires someone working late nights, building a machine that can run for a short time on its own. It is not freedom from labor, but rather a fierce burst of labor that has been scaled up to reach more people. Reaching the point where that machine finally pays out is a dark and brutal journey. The path is not a sunny beach, but a cold, lonely room lit only by a computer screen at midnight. This is the painful transition phase, a grueling stretch of time that the gurus always edit out of their videos. It is a harsh environment where sleep is rare and stress hangs heavy in the air. In this bleak space, a person is forced to work 2 completely separate full-time jobs. They must drag themselves to their normal day job just to keep the lights on and feed their family. Then they return home to face the second shift, pouring every ounce of their remaining life force into their new project. It is a punishing daily cycle that breaks the spirit long before the first dollar is ever made. This grueling shift from active worker to system builder demands a cost that money alone cannot cover. The true price of this journey is paid in deep, quiet sacrifices that leave lasting scars. It is measured in the heavy silence of a home where one parent is always locked away working. The dream of future freedom steals away the precious, fleeting moments of the present day. The toll it takes on the human heart is a hidden tax that no one ever warns you about. This dark path is paved with missed family dinners and weekends lost to endless typing. It drains bank accounts dry as savings are poured into a fragile system that might completely fail. The builder sacrifices their health, their friends, and their joy, all for a promise whispered by a stranger on the internet. They trade the best years of their life for a ghost that may never actually arrive. The crushing weight of that double life breaks almost everyone who attempts to carry it across the finish line. Maintaining a traditional 40-hour work week while secretly pouring another 30 hours into a fledgling side hustle creates a devastating psychological toll. Sleep deprivation compounds, personal relationships fracture under the strain, and the physical exhaustion simply becomes too heavy to bear. Picture yourself walking into a windowless room, sitting at a cluttered desk, and staring at a glowing monitor until your eyes burn every single night for 3 consecutive years. You hear no applause from a non-existent audience, you see no sunlight during those midnight hours, and your bank account barely moves despite the thousands of keystrokes you log in absolute isolation. This is the chilling reality for the fraction of a percent who actually survive the treacherous climb to build a lasting, sustainable income stream. They do not stumble upon a magical shortcut or a secret algorithm. Instead, they simply endure a brutal, silent grind in the dark, sacrificing their weekends and holidays while the rest of the world comfortably sleeps. But that long, quiet suffering is the singular reality that digital marketing gurus will deliberately edit out of their promotional videos. You will never see the late-night panic attacks or the maxed-out credit cards on their polished social media feeds, because chronic stress and financial terror do not sell expensive masterclasses to desperate people looking for an escape. Instead, the internet feeds you a deeply dangerous psychological illusion known to statisticians as survivorship bias. The entire digital ecosystem is meticulously engineered by algorithms to shine a massive, blinding spotlight on the one solitary individual who successfully planted their flag at the top of the mountain, completely ignoring the devastating odds they beat to get there. What the glowing screen intentionally hides from your view are the thousands of frozen financial bodies left behind on that exact same deadly trail. You only ever see the grinning lottery winner holding the oversized cardboard check for the cameras. You are never shown the millions of torn-up, worthless tickets littering the convenience store floor across the country. This twisted digital mirror makes the statistically impossible look incredibly easy, systematically tricking ordinary, hard-working people into stepping blindly off a financial cliff. By framing massive anomalies as everyday occurrences, these platforms convince vulnerable audiences that success is guaranteed, prompting them to risk their life savings on ventures that are mathematically destined to fail from the very beginning. If you knew exactly where to look within the internet archives, you could take a walk through a massive digital graveyard of failed entrepreneurial attempts. It is currently filled with millions of abandoned WordPress blogs that have not published a single update in 5 years, and countless empty Shopify stores where no passing customer ever actually clicked the buy button. Out in the physical world, this same graveyard takes the shape of half-finished rental houses and abruptly foreclosed properties bought by hopeful amateur investors who simply ran out of renovation cash. Each of these silent architectural tombstones represents completely drained retirement accounts, shattered personal confidence, and countless months of wasted human life spent chasing a highly weaponized mirage. The primary bait that lures so many unsuspecting victims into this financial trap is the modern technological promise of the fully automated business. People are aggressively sold the utopian dream of a silent, frictionless machine, operated entirely by cloud software and artificial intelligence, supposedly printing endless streams of money while the absentee owner sits undisturbed on a tropical beach. But actually building that supposedly silent machine requires a staggering amount of complex, highly technical engineering occurring completely behind the scenes. Every automated email sequence, every secure payment gateway integration, and every digital file delivery system must first be meticulously built, rigorously tested against edge cases, and then constantly repaired by exhausted human hands whenever the underlying code inevitably breaks. The very moment the original builder steps away to finally take that promised rest, the entire delicate machine immediately begins to break apart. Application programming interfaces update without warning, security certificates quietly expire in the middle of the night, and critical payment processors flag legitimate transactions as fraud, instantly choking off the revenue supply while the owner looks the other way. There is a deeply unsettling truth about modern internet technology that no expensive passive income course will ever dare to teach you. Automated digital systems are incredibly fragile constructs governed by digital entropy, and they always begin to actively decay and malfunction the very second that human eyes look away from the dashboard monitor to focus on something else. A piece of software cannot possibly care about a deeply frustrated buyer demanding a refund, and a scripted robot cannot sense when consumer market trends are suddenly shifting direction. Without a dedicated human operator standing watch at the helm to actively guide the ship through turbulent economic waters, the fully automated business simply drives itself blindly into the jagged rocks. The resulting commercial wreckage left behind by this technological collapse is swift, brutal, and completely unforgiving to the bottom line. Negative customer reviews begin to pile up overnight. Credit card chargebacks trigger massive banking penalties, and algorithmic search rankings plummet into obscurity, permanently destroying years of hard work in a matter of days due to total managerial neglect. What ultimately remains in the aftermath is a cold, hollow shell of a business, completely stripped of its fundamental humanity. The original owner has effectively vanished like a ghost, entirely replaced by an infuriating maze of automated rules, no-reply email addresses, and circular customer service menus specifically designed to keep every single paying client at a permanent, unbridgeable distance. Legitimate customers are left metaphorically screaming into a dark digital void, hopelessly trapped in endless conversational loops with useless artificial intelligence chatbots and automated form emails that never actually answer their specific questions. They feel entirely abandoned by the brand they trusted with their money, and their initial confusion rapidly metastasizes into a deep, highly vocal, and incredibly bitter anger. In 2022, a massive global customer experience report revealed a truly grim statistic regarding this exact phenomenon. The study documented that 78% of modern buyers permanently abandoned a brand and took their money elsewhere after experiencing just one single frustrating encounter with a poorly managed automated service system, proving that setting and forgetting a business is corporate suicide. Walking away completely is the fatal mistake in the passive income dream. When you stop looking at the thing that makes you money, it begins to die. It is a slow, quiet death that happens in the shadows. A rental house left alone does not just sit there making cash. It starts to rot from the inside out. A small leak in the roof turns into black mold hiding in the walls. The same decay happens to digital businesses when the owner walks away. A website left on autopilot slowly breaks down as the internet changes around it. Links go dead, code stops working, and customers leave in frustration. The system that was supposed to print money forever becomes a digital ghost town. Total detachment is not freedom. It is just the first step toward ruin. This unseen rot destroys the wealth they worked so hard to build, leaving them with nothing but broken pieces. But the damage goes far deeper than lost money or ruined buildings. There is a chilling danger that strikes at the human soul when you detach from your own work. People spend years chasing the dream of doing nothing, believing it will bring them ultimate joy. They push away the daily grind, the challenges, and the need to show up. They finally reach the top of the mountain, only to look around and feel a cold, heavy emptiness. They have engineered themselves completely out of their own lives. By removing all the effort, they also removed all the meaning. The days stretch out in front of them, empty and quiet, with no problems to solve and no mountains left to climb. The dream of doing absolutely nothing turns into a quiet nightmare of having no reason to wake up in the morning. The human brain is not built to sit still and do nothing forever. We are wired deep inside to find meaning in solving problems and building things with our own hands. Effort is not just a way to make money. It is the fuel that keeps our minds sharp and our spirits alive. When you take away the struggle, the mind begins to turn on itself. Without a daily purpose, a dark, downward spiral begins. The feeling of being useful slips away, replaced by a heavy fog of boredom and doubt. People who thought they were buying freedom find themselves trapped in a cage of their own making. They have all the time in the world, but nothing that actually matters to fill the hours. The quiet rooms of their dream homes become echoing reminders that they are no longer needed by the world outside. This leads to a desperate, often hidden search for meaning. Many early retirees who chased the passive income myth hit a wall of deep depression. They thought the finish line would be a party, but instead, they find it completely empty. They lose the identity that gave them pride. They are no longer the builder, the creator, or the problem solver. They try to fill the void with endless vacations or expensive hobbies, but the thrill fades fast. The shiny reward they chased for decades feels like a cruel trick. They realize too late that the joy was never in the resting. The true joy was in the building, the fighting, and the overcoming of real obstacles. The crushing weight of having no purpose forces many of them to desperately seek out new work just to feel alive again. This reveals the dark side of the extreme early retirement movement. People strip their lives down to the bare bones, cutting out every joy just to escape their jobs as fast as possible. They focus only on hitting a magic number in their bank account so they can finally stop trying. But this intense focus on escaping work creates a dangerous trap. They build a life based entirely on running away, rather than running towards something real. When they finally quit, the sudden stop is a violent shock to the system. The extreme saving and cutting leaves them isolated, with no community and no driving force to keep them moving forward. The escape plan becomes a prison of endless, empty days. This extreme retreat from society leaves them totally unprepared for the crushing silence that follows. Imagine your own mind in that silent space. Confront the chilling thought of never having a goal again, of waking up every single day with absolutely nothing that needs to be done. The quiet quickly turns into a heavy, suffocating blanket. The walls of the house seem to close in as the hours drag on without a single meaningful event. The myth of passive income does not just steal your money through scams and fake courses. It steals your drive, your ambition, and your reason for being. It tricks you into believing that the ultimate reward in life is to become completely useless. It paints a picture of paradise that is actually a barren, lonely desert for the human mind. The mind needs friction to stay healthy, and without it, the spirit slowly starves in the dark. The only way out of this trap is a difficult, necessary turn away from the passive lie. You must face the hard truth and move toward creating real value. True wealth does not come from finding a clever trick to avoid work. It comes from accepting that money is the reward for actively solving real problems for real people. The hard truth finally sets in, cold and clear. The dream of doing nothing fades, replaced by the heavy, necessary work of fixing real problems for real people. This is the turning point where the illusion breaks. You learn that true wealth is never found in a secret system, but in the slow, daily grind of building something useful. It is a painful shift, leaving behind the empty promises of easy money to face the real demands of the market. There is a strange, quiet beauty in this heavy lifting. When you stop chasing ghosts and start shaping something real with your own hands, a deep sense of purpose wakes up inside you. It is a mystery how the hardest work brings the deepest peace. You are no longer running toward a finish line that keeps moving. Instead, you stand firm, feeling the solid weight of genuine creation taking root in your life. The mechanics of this change are simple but powerful. Once you stop looking for a way out, your mind opens up to the endless ways you can actually help others. Real value flows from this focus. The energy you used to waste on finding shortcuts now fuels your actual skills. You build strong systems, not to escape work, but to make your work matter more to the people who need it. This shift in thinking leaves a lasting mark on how we live and work. The culture slowly turns away from the loud voices selling fast wealth, demanding proof of real effort instead. Communities begin to value the local baker, the honest builder, and the dedicated teacher far more than the hidden investor. The long shadow of the passive income lie forces a return to honoring actual, visible labor. Laws and rules slowly follow this cultural wake-up call. Regulators crack down on the empty promises that ruined so many lives. The fine print on digital courses and fast money schemes now carries harsh warnings, built from the wreckage of broken dreams. The system learns to protect the vulnerable, making it much harder to sell a lie that has no real substance behind it. The damage left behind is still visible in quiet living rooms across the country. Families sit at kitchen tables staring at empty bank accounts that were supposed to be full by now. The air in these homes feels heavy with regret and the harsh reality of lost time. These are the silent spaces where the true cost of the dream is paid, far away from the bright lights of online success stories. The shame of falling for the trick cuts deeper than the lost money. Good people, who only wanted a better life for their children, carry a heavy burden of guilt. They wonder how they missed the signs, how they let the promise of an easy road blind them to the danger. Healing from this betrayal takes years, leaving scars that change how they trust the world forever. The shockwave hit the financial world hard in the early days of 2023. A massive review of online business loans revealed a staggering failure rate among automated stores. Bank records showed that out of 80,000 new accounts set up for hands-off selling, nearly all of them bled money within 6 months. The cold data proved what many feared, forcing lenders to completely rewrite their rules for risk. The way these banks measure trust is now entirely different. They no longer look at projected future earnings based on a hidden system. Instead, the focus is strictly on active daily management and clear proof of physical goods changing hands. The entire framework of business credit shifted overnight, locking out anyone who could not prove they were actively steering the ship. Yet, even with all this new proof, a dark question still hangs in the air. We still do not know why the human mind wants so badly to believe in the impossible. The raw data clearly shows that easy wealth is a trap, but the desire for it never seems to die. This blind spot in human nature remains a puzzle that no chart or graph can fully explain. It is a chilling thought that we might always be vulnerable to this same trick. Deep down, the fear of working until the end of our days makes us desperate for a magic door. This quiet dread lives inside almost everyone, waiting for the next smooth voice to promise a way out. The mystery is not how the scam works, but why our own hopes make us such willing victims. The final result of this long era of deception is a massive shift in digital platforms. Major social media sites are now forced to block millions of videos that promise wealth without work. Their search systems are quietly rewritten to hide the gurus and promote real, verified business skills. The digital landscape, once a wild frontier for false hope, is slowly being fenced in by strict new rules of truth. The spaces where these gurus used to gather are now empty and silent. The grand convention halls, once packed with desperate crowds buying secrets, stand dark and abandoned. The shiny stages and giant screens have been packed away, leaving only echoes in the massive, cold rooms. The physical world reflects the sudden death of an industry built entirely on smoke. For the workers who built these empires behind the scenes, the collapse was sudden and brutal. Thousands of video editors, writers, and web designers found their contracts canceled in a single week. They had to pack up their home offices and scramble for new jobs, their incomes vanishing overnight. The people who actually did the hard work were left to pay the price for their bosses' lies. The shock of this sudden loss left a deep, cold fear in its wake. These workers realized they had built their own lives on a foundation of sand, trusting people who sold illusions for a living. The anger and betrayal they feel is a heavy weight, a bitter reminder of the danger of following false leaders. They are left trying to rebuild their trust in a world that feels deeply unsafe. This massive collapse changed the way an entire generation looks at the future of work. The old idea that you could just set up a system and walk away is now viewed with deep suspicion. Young people entering the workforce are completely rejecting the dream of early, empty retirement. The new standard is finding work that actually matters, holding on to jobs that require real presence and care. The fundamental rules of career building have been completely reset. The focus has moved from escaping the daily grind to mastering a craft that cannot be easily replaced or faked. Schools and training centers are shifting their entire approach, teaching students how to endure and adapt rather than how to quit early. The structure of ambition itself has been rebuilt from the ground up. But as the dust settles, a haunting question remains buried in the ruins. If the dream of doing nothing is truly dead, what happens to the people who are simply too tired to keep going? The system demands constant, heavy effort, but human energy is not endless. The dark truth of what happens when a person simply cannot work another day is a mystery the modern world still refuses to face. Even with all the failed businesses and lost money, one big question still hangs in the air. Can a person ever truly separate their time from their wealth? The facts point to a cold truth. Money always needs someone to watch it. If you walk away and stop paying attention, your money stops growing. Look at the world left behind by the easy money promise. It is a massive digital graveyard. Millions of abandoned websites float in the dark corners of the internet. Empty online stores sit frozen in time, still waiting for a single buyer to arrive. The physical world shows the same deep scars. Huge buildings are packed with boxes of cheap items that nobody wanted to buy. Monthly internet bills quietly drain empty bank accounts long after the owner gives up. This is the lasting mark of the easy wealth dream. It built a mountain of wasted effort. The real price is paid by ordinary people. Think of the families who took money out of their safe savings to buy a secret wealth guide. Think of the tired workers who stayed awake all night trying to make a broken system work. They gave away their precious time for a lie. These people do not just lose their cash, they lose their hope. When a promised shortcut turns into a trap, it leaves a deep wound. Many of these families become too scared to try real, safe ways to save. The fake teachers took their money, but they also took their trust in the future. But a shift is slowly happening. The loud promises of overnight riches are losing their power. People are waking up to the old, boring facts. Building real wealth is not a magic trick you can put on autopilot. It is a slow, careful climb that demands your care, your hard work, and your patience. The best money machine is not a secret laptop on a sunny beach. It is a quiet room, a steady job, and a simple account that grows a little bit every single month. That slow, quiet growth is the only real magic there is.